pick up 2 bags of flour in the baking aisle. One is a plain, no-frills bag for under $2 a kilo. The other, wrapped in rustic paper with a hand-drawn wheat sheaf, costs more than 3 times as much. Check the nutrition panel on both, and in plenty of cases, the protein content, the number that actually determines how your bread rises and your dough behaves, is nearly identical. That gap between what you're paying and what you're actually getting is bigger and more common than most home bakers realize. We put 9 of Australia's most popular flour products under the microscope, comparing price per kilogram against the numbers that actually matter for baking performance. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which pricing tricks to watch for and how to spot genuine quality worth paying for versus packaging doing all the talking. Let's start with the mildest markup on the list. Here's how this countdown was built. Every entry is judged against price per kilogram compared to objective baking metrics, mainly protein content, since that's what actually governs gluten strength and how a dough performs, alongside how much of the price seems to come from marketing story rather than measurable difference. Food Standards Australia New Zealand requires protein content and country of origin information on every flour label, which means the tools to check this claim yourself are sitting right there on the bag. No lab equipment required. 2 other numbers help too. As content, which reflects how much of the bran and germ remains in the flour and influences color and texture, and extraction rate, which describes how much of the whole wheat kernel actually made it into the bag. Neither figure is always printed, but where a brand does disclose them, they're worth far more than a marketing paragraph. That said, not every price difference is a rip-off. Genuine stone milling, small batch production, and certified organic farming all carry real extra costs that a mass market roller mill doesn't. So, as we count down, the test isn't simply, is this expensive? It's, does the price match what's actually inside the bag? We'll also flag, wherever the evidence supports it, when a premium genuinely reflects extra farming or milling cost rather than pure branding, because lumping every expensive bag into the same category would be its own kind of misleading. Let's get into it. Noonberry 9, the ancient grain Posty Glen pre-stubborn blend built around a small percentage of an ancient or heritage grain, spelt, einkorn, Khorasan, dressed up in premium packaging and priced well above standard baker's flour. Check the ingredient list, order by weight as it's legally required to be, and the heritage grain named on the front of the bag often sits well down that list, behind standard wheat flour list, behind standard wheat flour making up the vast bulk of the blend. That's not illegal. A product genuinely can contain both and still be marketed around its more exotic ingredient. But it does mean you may be paying an artisan price for what's mostly commodity flour with a small flourish added. If the heritage grain genuinely changes the flavor or texture year after, that's a legitimate reason to buy it. If you're buying it purely for a perceived health boost, the ingredient order is worth a look first. Because a 5% inclusion of an ancient grain doesn't transform the nutritional profile of the whole bag the way the packaging might suggest. From botanical blending, let's follow the marketing further. Onto the label of a specific Australian region. Noonberry 9, the regional heritage Illyrian flour named after a specific picturesque Australian growing region. A valley, a plain, a district known for good wheat. The front of the bag leans hard into that imagery, often paired with a small illustrated map or a family name suggesting generations of farming in that exact spot. The back tells a different story. Australia's country of origin labelling rules require an origin statement or bar showing where the ingredients actually come from, and in a lot of cases, that statement reveals a blend sourced from multiple states rather than the single named region on the front. This isn't a legal breach. Blending grain from several regions is a completely standard way to keep flour quality consistent through droughts, floods, and seasonal swings. It just means the romantic single origin story on the front and the practical multi-region blend on the back aren't quite the same thing. If provenance genuinely matters to you, the origin bar on the back is the only part of the packaging legally required to tell you the truth about it. The valley on the front is a marketing choice, not a legal declaration. Next, we move from geography to a different kind of specialty markup, the ultra-fine pastry bag, number 7. The double milled pastry tax ultra-fine pastry and cake flours, sold in small boutique bags at a steep per kilogram rate. These products promise a lighter, softer crumb for delicate baking. And there is genuine baking science behind a lower protein, finer milled flour, producing a softer result in cakes and biscuits. Less gluten development generally means a more tender crumb. The catch is that ordinary supermarket plain flour often sits in a very similar protein range and produces a comparable crumb for most home recipes at a fraction of the cost. The steep price mostly comes from small pack sizes. A 500-gram specialty bag can carry a per kilogram cost several times higher than a standard 5-kilo sack. And that difference is easy to miss when you're only looking at the smaller number on the shelf tag. For genuinely delicate French pastry work, the ultra-fine milling can make a real difference. And professional pastry chefs have good reason to reach for it. For a Tuesday night sponge cake, it's worth checking whether your everyday plain flour would do the job for less. Before the small bag and the pretty label talk you into the pricier option, let's shift from delicate baking to a much louder marketing angle, the gym bag. Number 6. The Soup Protein Gaim Flam Brot Braid Flour, dressed in fitness brand packaging, leaning on words like strength and performance to justify a lifestyle price tag, sometimes even sitting in the supplements aisle rather than alongside the ordinary baking flour. The protein percentage on these bags is genuinely high, which is exactly what you want for a strong, well-risen loaf. The issue is that standard commercial bread or baker's flour, sold in a plain bag at a fraction of the price, frequently sits in the same high protein range. The fitness branding isn't adding gluten strength to the flour. It's adding a lifestyle association that happens to come with a noticeably higher price per kilogram. If you're already reaching for high protein flour for sourdough or strong bread doughs, that instinct is correct. The only question is whether the plain bread flour bag next to it on the shelf would get you the same result for less. And in most cases across the category, it will. For protein branding, let's talk about a premium that's genuinely earned, at least in part, organic certification. Number 5, the Organic Gold Standard markup. Certified organic flour, often priced at 2 to 3 times the cost of a conventional bag. This one deserves more nuance than most entries on this list, because certified organic farming carries real, documented extra costs. Lower yields, stricter input restrictions, and ongoing certification and auditing fees that conventional growers simply don't pay. Some of that price gap is legitimate and reflects a genuinely different farming system built around avoiding synthetic pesticides and supporting soil health over the long term. But industry pricing analysis consistently shows that grower payouts and certification costs don't account for the entire retail markup. A meaningful slice of that premium is standard retail margin, not extra cost passed down from the paddock. Breaking the price down roughly into 3 buckets helps here: what the grower is actually paid, what certification and auditing genuinely cost, and what's simply added on as retail margin because organic shoppers are, on average, less price sensitive than the general market. So the honest takeaway here isn't organic is a scam. It's that organic is worth paying for if chemical-free farming matters to you specifically, while recognizing that not every dollar of the premium is going back to the farm. Some of it is simply what the market will bear on a product carrying a trusted certification logo. Now let's look at a category where the story gets murkier: the single estate artisan mill. Number for these singly estate artisan mill petite flour in bespoke, hand-labeled paper packaging, telling a story of small batch stone milling from a single named property, often with a hand-drawn math or a paragraph about the miller's philosophy printed right on the bag, or a paragraph about the miller's philosophy printed right on the bag. Genuine independent stone mills absolutely exist in Australia, and they can produce flour with real, distinct character that a large industrial roller mill doesn't replicate. Coarser texture, more of the brand and germ retained, and a flavour that's noticeably different in a finished loaf. The issue is that some products leaning on this exact aesthetic and story are actually sourced from standard regional grain cooperatives, with wording vague enough to imply a single farm origin without technically claiming one. That's a legal but confusing label choice rather than an outright false claim, and it's genuinely hard to tell the two apart without digging. If a brand can name the specific mill, the region, and roughly when the grain was milled, that's a strong sign of real transparency worth paying for. If the story stays deliberately vague, no matter how you look at the label, no mill name, no date, no named grower, that vagueness itself is worth noticing before you pay an elite price for it. From artisan storytelling, we hit the mid-video reveal a markup hiding in one of the most ordinary bags in the aisle. Number 3, the self-raising convenience surcharge. Self-raising convenience surcharge self-raising flour. One of the most familiar bags in any Australian pantry, and one of the easiest places to quietly overpay. Self-raising flour is simply plain flour with a raising agent, typically baking powder, pre-mixed through it at a small standardized ratio. When you compare the price of a self-raising bag against buying plain flour and a tin of baking powder separately, the pre-mixed version routinely carries a noticeably higher cost for what amounts to a 5-second step you could do yourself at home. There's a genuine convenience argument here, and for commercial kitchens producing consistent output at scale, pre-blending has real value. Nobody's suggesting a bakery hand mix every batch. But for a home baker, mixing your own raising agent into plain flour costs a matter of cents, takes moments, and gives you fresher, better controlled leavening than a bag that's been sitting on a shelf for months, since raising agents lose potency over time once opened. It's a small habit change with a surprisingly steady saving over a year of baking. From convenience taxes at home, let's cross the aisle to imported prestige. Number 2. The Italian domestic Ellison imported Italian Tipo 00 flour, prized by home pizza and pasta makers and priced accordingly once shipping, import duty, and imported prestige branding are all factored in. The genuine technical claim behind SOROS flour is its extremely fine milling and specific ash content, traits linked to a particular texture in pizza dough and fresh pasta. The zeroed grading itself actually refers to how finely the bran has been sifted out, not to any single fixed protein level. What's less settled is whether that exact result is only achievable with imported grain. A number of Australian mills now produce finely milled, high-extraction flours built specifically for pizza and pasta, using local wheat, at a considerably lower price once you strip out the freight and imported branding. Some professional pizza makers genuinely do prefer specific Italian wheat varieties for their particular gluten behavior, and that preference is legitimate rather than snobbery. Years of training on a specific flour builds real earned intuition. But for most home cooks, it's genuinely worth testing a locally milled pizza flour side by side with an imported bag before assuming the import is doing something the domestic option can't, especially once you account for how much of that price difference is simply freight and customs. And that test brings us to the single biggest markup on this entire list. If you spotted one of these markups in your own pantry already, tell us which number surprised you most, and subscribe, because the final entry uncovers the biggest name brand markup of the entire investigation. Number 1, the white label luxury Celebrity Flurry, celebrity endorsed and chef branded flour lines, sold at the steepest premium of anything in this countdown. These products lean entirely on a recognizable name and a polished, lifestyle branded bag, positioned as somehow closer to what a professional baker would use at home. In reality, across the packaged food industry more broadly, celebrity and lifestyle branded products are very commonly produced by large commercial co-packing mills, the same kind of facility supplying standard commercial flour, with the finished product simply repackaged under the famous name. This is standard practice across dozens of food categories, not unique to flour, and it's the same reason a supermarket's own home brand and a much pricier boutique product can sometimes roll off the very same production line. That's a completely standard, legal way to bring a product to market, and some of these partnerships genuinely do support worthwhile causes or small educational projects tied to the celebrity's name. What it doesn't necessarily mean is that the wheat inside is milled any differently from a standard commercial bag, sitting 2 shelves down at a fraction of the price. Before paying a premium for a famous name on a paper bag, it's worth checking whether the protein content and origin statement actually differ from the plain option beside it, because often they don't, and the only meaningfully different thing about the product is the photograph on the front. So what does a pattern like this, repeated across 9 very different products, actually tell us about how flour gets priced? Here's the pattern running underneath almost every entry on this list. Flour pricing in Australia is driven far more by branding, packaging, and story than by any dramatic difference in the wheat itself. Industry market analysis of the milling and agribusiness sector consistently shows that a large share of the retail price on a premium flour bag comes from marketing spend, distribution layers, and brand positioning, rather than from meaningfully different grain genetics or farming input cost. Australian wheat itself is a genuinely well-regarded commodity on the world stage, milled to consistent, reliable standards, regardless of which bag it ends up in. Which is exactly why so much of what separates a $2 bag from a $7 bag comes down to everything layered on top of that base grain, not the grain itself. That doesn't mean every expensive bag is empty marketing. Genuine stone-milled artisan flour, certified organic farming, and specific specialty grains all carry real production costs a mass-market roller mill simply doesn't have, and the growers and millers behind those products deserve to be paid fairly for that work. The skill this whole investigation is really teaching isn't cynicism about every premium product. It's the ability to separate a price that reflects real extra cost from a price that reflects a good story and a nice font. Once you can tell those two apart on site, you stop paying for one while thinking you're buying the other. And that skill carries over to far more than just the baking aisle. Which brings us to exactly how to do that every single time you're standing in the baking aisle. Here's a 4-step system you can run on any flour bag in under 10 seconds. Step 1. Check the protein content per 100 grams on the nutrition panel and compare it directly against the cheaper bag next to it. If the numbers are close, the price gap isn't about baking performance. Step 2. Read the country of origin bar on the back, not the imagery on the front, especially for anything branded around the specific region, farm, or country. Step 3. Always calculate the actual price per kilogram, particularly for small specialty bags, since pack size is one of the easiest ways a steep markup hides in plain sight. A supermarket often prices small bags disproportionately higher than the standard size, purely because shoppers rarely do that division in their head. Step 4. Skip pre-mixed convenience products like self-raising flour when you bake often, and blend your own raising agent into plain flour instead. It takes seconds, and it's dramatically cheaper over a year of regular baking. None of these steps require special equipment or baking expertise, just 30 extra seconds with a bag already in your hand before it goes in the trolley. Run through this a handful of times at your usual supermarket, and reading a flour label properly becomes second nature, the same automatic habit as glancing at a use-by date. Flour hasn't stopped being one of the cheapest, most reliable staples in the entire supermarket. This investigation isn't an argument against baking. It's an argument against paying for packaging you mistook for performance. Every product on this list is completely legal, and several genuinely earn part of their premium through real extra cost in farming or milling. The difference is knowing which part of that price tag is grain and which part is marketing. The nutrition panel and the origin bar are the only parts of that paper bag legally required to tell you the truth. Everything else on the front is there to sell you a feeling. Check the protein number, check the origin, do the per kilo math, and you'll never overpay for a wheat sheaf illustration again. This isn't about swearing off every boutique bag on principle. Some of them genuinely earn their price. It's about making sure the choice is yours, made with the facts on the back of the bag, rather than the story printed on the front. Tell us in the comments which supermarket aisle deserves the same treatment next, because this investigation is only the beginning.